I'm Adrian Kerr, and this is From the Top. I'm joined today by Clinton Filen. He's the brand director at Airush Kiteboarding. Clinton, how are you?
Yeah, great, mate. Good to see you.
Mate, I was just saying, I'm loving the new studio there, mate. Is this going to be a regular thing for Airush?
Yeah, this is our showroom space actually. So we try to just have all the products, like the latest products that we've done, and we have them in like a cool little space in Muizenberg. I'm not sure if you've actually visited us here. And then it's always just fun to connect with people. So we thought we would try to do something a little different.
Awesome. Let's get straight to it. Could you tell us a little bit about your path into the kiteboarding industry?
So I mean, from my side, I grew up windsurfing, and I started as a competitive windsurfer when I was younger, and then I was working on testing products to make money. I was traveling and competing, and I used to build all my own boards when I was young. I had the support of some really talented people, and I took these skills into product design. I studied advertising and business, but my first passion had always been product design. I started a design company when I was young, and then I connected with Sven, who's the CEO of the company, and he asked me if I wanted to help them run the design center in Australia. I moved to Oz for a while before coming back to Cape Town, and then just pretty much continued with the design path. Yeah.
Mate, and so how did you become the brand director of Airush and AK Durable?
We just through working within the business, I connected with the team quite well, and just moved through from a design side, and like I said, always had that interest in business, and connected from there, from the design background.
Mate, tell us a little bit about both brands and how they complement each other.
Well, we're part of a water sports group called Cestar, which includes Starboard, which is SUP and windsurfing, and then Severn Designs, which is another windsurfing brand. And these brands are focused on windsurfing and paddleboarding. So we have that side of the business. And then our brands fall within this group, with Airush being focused on kiteboarding. And then we have Freewing, which is a collaboration between Airush and Starboard that kind of explains that connection. And then AK is focused on really being a multi-sport hardware, foil, and accessory brand across a range of sports.
Do you think it's good for every brand to have its own accessory brand? I mean, we sort of see this trend throughout the industry.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I mean, a lot of my background in design was really in accessories, and it was kind of something that I wanted to do early, and then ended up taking kind of a different track, like really bringing more of a hard goods idea to the AK product line, being much more about engineered, instead of that kind of accessorizing, but more by making some of our new products are very engineering orientated and very technical. So we didn't really want to have it as a part of, but more something that stands completely alone, and something that's way more multi-sport, that we could put products in that don't really fit into the box of any of our existing brands, which are quite segmented in their sport.
How is Airush as a company reducing its impact on the environment?
I mean, from my side, that is something that we put a lot of energy into. I would say becoming truly sustainable is not really something we should even question. It's something that we have to pursue. So it's not about how we do it. It's just about how do we do it and chase our dreams and still have fun. I feel the simple key is to put more back in than whatever you're taking out. So you don't have to martyr yourself. You just need to reinvest and be more conscious. In terms of programs for us, I would say the Tor Heyerdahl Climate Park program is a standout. It's like we're able to truly offset our carbon footprint and be 10 times carbon positive. And then making material choices and moving consistently towards using bioresins, lower impact materials, that's kind of ongoing. But it's also an important idea in the engineering to bring durability into products and getting away from this idea of planned obsolescence, where something always has to be new and better, and that, you know, sometimes they can just be good things, you know. And we've come some way to reducing our plastic consumption. You know, we work with a company called Parley, like an organization, and they have this principle of avoid, intercept, and redesign, and I think that's quite cool. We're able to get some of our products completely plastic free, but plastic is so integrated into the industrial cycle. So, you know, you really have to deal with that challenge. I mean, we still have so much we can do. And we also want to share the development as much as we can. I don't really believe that sustainability is competitive advantage. It's something that, you know, it's like social responsibility.
I mean, you're a big proponent of, you know, shaping Airush as an authentic brand. What's your take on greenwashing and tech washing in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, the question around, you know, I think the context of authentic as being honest, I do think that that's important, especially with the amount of transparency in the world today, but it's just a good base to work from. I think the greenwashing is quite a particular threat if you're passionate about that. You know, the reality is that a lot of the brands could do so much more, like to make a recycled material, you know, logo onto a component of a product, you know, doesn't absolve us of taking responsibility for all the other parts that we're doing. So it's quite I think that's really important to put that into that context. The tech washing is maybe more harmless. It's really just about marketeers trying to shout more than each other, you know. So there's so many instances where you pull a data sheet on material or you run an independent test and you see how marginal the gains are. But I mean, that being said, I believe a bunch of marginal gains together can make a significantly better product. So I guess I'm also guilty of that.
Going back to greenwashing, how often is this happening in the kiteboarding industry?
I mean, you know, I see it, I don't want to say every day, but, you know, you see it when you go to some brands' websites where, you know, they'll have an environmental section, and then they'll just talk about, you know, one aspect of what they do. And I think, you know, that's quite problematic, you know, in terms of, you know, like it kind of becomes marketing in a sense. So I do think it's quite significant. And I think there's, you know, a lot of the corporate brands are very guilty of it. But I think, yeah, even within our industry, you see it quite a bit.
I mean, can a brand be fully sustainable, I guess, in the current climate? I mean, that must be pretty hard.
Well, yeah, again, sustainability, if you break down, for example, you know, like what are we doing about our CO2 offsets, you know, and if you're doing something there that doesn't, you know, you've got to address like your plastic consumption, you know, you've got to address, you know, each of those things individually, you know, because you know, they all need to be considered. I guess you can go, you know, all the way into the social responsibility, and you know, and look at the life cycle of your products. So yeah, I think each of those things need to be looked at individually. So yeah, it's a massive journey, and there's really a lot to do.
The industry has undergone, you know, all manner of changes in the last decade. What would you say has been the biggest key developments in your time at Airush?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question. I mean, well, early on in the decade, I would say like the success of Bruno and Alex for us winning freestyle titles was a big thing. And we were very focused on being like the benchmark freestyle brand. Then later on, we were involved with racing until around 5 years ago with Julian Kenya and Ozzie Smith dominating the slalom racing scene. And then I did feel that the move to foil kites moved racing too far away from the everyday customer. And we wanted to put our energy into what people wanted to ride every day. You know, the birth of the freeride foil, I guess, from that has also been definitive in bringing so many riders into much lighter wind conditions. So we developed the first ultras around this, and that for us really remains like a milestone product. Yeah, going through the processes, I'd say like the explosion and diversification of surf and strapless has been a great development in the sport. So beyond that narrow focus of pure wave riding. And this whole development in this category, like now going from flat water directional riding, connecting it all the way to course surf, has always been a cool thing to see. This is also a category that's close to my heart, so it's quite a fun thing to work on such a diverse range.
Airush.
Yeah, and right now, sorry.
No, go.
Yeah, I'd say, for me right now, the evolution of the big air is really interesting. And for example, we reintroduced the lift from almost 15 years ago. And that was like now become a successful product again, where at some point that was just, kind of not relevant. And this really highlights like the shift back into twin tip and big air. And I think that goes well beyond a decade, but it's interesting to see it all going full circle and all niches blending.
Absolutely. Airush has always seemed to be a brand that's open to input from its team riders and real world riders. How important is it as the director to keep an open mind when it comes to designing new products and reacting to market trends and demands?
Yeah, from my side, that would be extremely important. From the perspective of the most enjoyable part of my job is developing new concepts and brand development. I started basically running a brand because of my love of design. I wanted to create a platform for great design and collaboration amongst designers, but also including the athletes. For example, making a product easier to use for an everyday rider like that. Even the benefits a world champion, making something easy to use. Our company's success has generally been about the ability to respond quickly. We're kind of a product-driven company. And so connecting with the changing market trends and more importantly, developing unique products and sometimes even complete niches is absolutely essential. And you need to have an open mind in order to do that.
Your team riders have been pretty central to your brand over the years, and a lot of them have been with you for a long time. How do you choose a team rider, and what can they bring to the brand?
For us, how we choose the team rider is basically the same way as we choose an employee. We look for people that are essential part of the business, who bringing something, to a category. And that's how we would get them involved. And we always have a really long-term view in working with the riders and keeping them connected as part of the whole company, really.
You mentioned following the trends and big air is something that's just booming at the moment. What's Airush doing on that side of things? Because there just seem to be some other brands that have really gone down that road with big air kites.
That's for us. The first basis was to have a good product, so we developed the lift, I think, a couple of years ago, we did a lot of testing in that product space. And then from a competitive side, it's a great example of, as the industry changes, like for us trying to work with our existing rider teams, like for example, Aussie is a great example of somebody who was, very strong in big air for a while. And then, as he felt his influence or his interest shifted, then you saw him moving off into a different direction. So it means that we'd actively be looking for a rider in that space. We have Gijs in Holland who's doing an incredible job, but for example, we'd normally have 2 riders in each category. That's typical for us. So we're always active, but we normally take our time in connecting with getting new riders.
When Airush began foiling, it wasn't even really a thing, nor was winging, and both are such massive parts of your business now. What do you think the next big thing that will be?
It's that's always such a loaded question, in terms of like for us, if we look back, if you look at where we were with wings, and like how they were such a non-starter for us, when 6 or 7 years ago, trying some concepts. And if you look at the same with the single strut kites, the first single strut kites weren't a great success for us. So, it could just be a spin-off of what's happening. It could blend what's going on. I think, for me, winging is kind of a discipline within kiting in a lot of ways. And it just highlights, that's kind of this blend between kiting and windsurfing that was brought about by foils. So it's pretty interesting to see, where it could go beyond the like stronger, faster, lighter ideas.
You're based in Cape Town, which obviously enjoys some pretty high profile conditions and events. What are the real positives for a brand being based there? And are there any negatives?
Yeah, from a positive side, there's really a lot. There's a great creative scene here. So we attract creative and product designers from around Africa and around the world who'd like to be in Cape Town. So we're able to get great staff, great teams who are really passionate about the sports and passionate about the surf sports, wind sports, and the different categories we work in. So that's a really positive thing for us. It's also a great kite hub. So we get to connect with a lot of the riders. Our riders enjoy coming here. And from a testing side, we've got a real variety of conditions from onshore, port tack, starboard tack. So there's a lot of different conditions to test in, and I think that also makes a pretty well-rounded product. That really helps us in the pure development space. And it's not crazy expensive in terms of building products. We still build a lot of the prototypes ourselves. We still run a workshop, and we have products on the go all the time. So those would be some of the key positives for me. From a negative side, it's a bit of a hassle if you got to fly to Asia or to the US, and Europe's on the same time zone, but it's can seem a little far away sometimes. So that would be a negative, and then the cold water, that sometimes gets to me.
Mate, last question. Mate, how challenging has it been operating under these COVID restrictions and its impact it's had on the industry in regards to sort of pricing and transport?
The challenge for us, some of the challenges in not being able to work that closely with our suppliers, that's what you don't see. But, for us, like we're very proactive. We're a real manufacturer-driven company. So we want to get in with our suppliers and work on new concepts. A lot of our new concepts are like that. So it's made things take a bit longer. It's created some obstacles that we wouldn't normally have. If we have a problem, we'll just jump on a plane and say, okay, we're going to go there and we're going to have a look at this and work out how to do it. So that is something that we can't do. Photo shoots have become a major hassle, trying to get the riders all into the same place. So those have definitely been the challenges, but there's been benefits. People want to be outside and they want to get on the water, and it's even here the surfing scene has doubled or tripled, and there's a lot more people kiting, and we haven't been having the tourists that we normally have. So there's a balance on each side.
Clinton, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks a lot.